Hi everybody, this is Joe. I'm here to do a video on narcissistic personality disorder. And in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about something that's very interesting as far as dealing with a narcissist. And this actually been brought to my attention from a subscriber as far as them, mentioning this type of situation with a narcissist. And I really find it very interesting to talk about. There's a lot to say on this particular type of topic dealing with a narcissist. And that is co-parenting with a narcissist. So co-parenting with a narcissist. Now anyone in this type of situation with a narcissist, this very much is a mess. I mean, this is dealing with a narcissist on this type of level, just a bunch of confusion, ups and downs, and it just seems like you're just dealing with a lot of drama and chaos that seems to just does nothing but just go in circles and circles. You dealing with a narcissist, and yet alone you have a child by this person, and you and the narcissist not no longer in the same household or so, and you still taking care of a child with this with this person, and you have in some cases where if you have custody of the kid or so, or kids, or whatever the case may be in your situation or have been in your situation, the narcissists, they always seem to, come off or do this thing where they won't go out without a fight. So they always doing things where they dragging the courts into it. And what I mean by that is they constantly bringing up drama, whatever it takes, where they always threaten you or try to have some over your head as far as with these type of threats where they try to, take custody of the child again, or take the child out your custody. So, they get all these different lawyers, and, they manipulate the court system, and they do the smear campaign and stuff as far as, you being threatened by this narcissist. And it's a narcissist, trying to do a lot of intimidation, towards you, shaking you up, breaking out your concentration on your behalf as far as having custody, of this child or so. So, what happened in this situation where the narcissist, like I said before, they bring all this chaos through the courts or so. So, in this situation, it inconvenience you, when you think the battle is over with, it's not. It's like a never-ending story dealing with the narcissist, if you have custody of the child or so. And you have, this another situation where if the narcissists have custody of the child, and in some of these situations where the narcissists have custody of the child or so, they do things as far as where you can't do your part, or when you try to do your part, you really can't do your part, because it seems like they make the rules in the middle of the game or so. So that, you have a situation where you probably have a thing where you have a certain time or a certain day or whatever where you could visit the child, or the child come to your place, where you probably notice the narcissist show up late or make all these different excuses. And like I said before, it's like they make up the rules as they go or so, inconveniencing you in this situation, and they do a lot of things with the child as far as trying to twist the child's mind as far as, trying to have this child, try to paint a bad image of you and, in front of this child, trying to put bad images in this child's head or so. By this child being around this narcissist, the majority of the time, that they have custody of them, they kind of brainwash the child. So here it is that you get the child back or whatever time or days that, it's your turn, wherever the agreement you made with the courts or so, whatever the situation may be, you know, in your case or whatever. By the time you get the child back, you know, they almost like a different person. You'll notice their behavior is different. They probably do similar ways, or they come off in their character as if, you know, they have, you know, traits of this narcissist. Not saying that this child is a narcissist, but their ways and their characters, their way of thought become more like the narcissist, remind you of this, you know, this narcissistic person that you was with. So it could be, you know, a baby mom or a baby, you know, a baby dad or so, start to have them traits or whatever. And what happened, the narcissist, you know, try to mold this child into who they want them to be or so. You know, they use children as tools or so. And in this situation, even, you know, the scapegoat, you know, this could have been at the time where you and the narcissist was actually living in the same household or together taking care of the child or whatever. You notice, you know, that this child, you know, comes off as a scapegoat to the narcissist or so. You know, this anyone who have experience with a narcissist as far as raising a child and know everything about a narcissist, they start noticing the treatment they start to do towards, you know, the individual or whatever. This where a parent is actually awakened to narcissistic abuse, because most of the time where there's a scapegoat and a golden child, most of the time either the scapegoat recognize their scapegoat and they recognize the golden child as far as them being, you know, a child of narcissistic parent, whether it's a narcissistic dad or whether it's a narcissistic mom. They notice either or. You know, they notice who the narcissist and who's not. But, you know, either of the parents don't notice what they are doing themselves. You know, it could be the healthy person. They don't know that they with a narcissistic, you know, a narcissistic husband or wife or, you know, a male or female spouse or so, but the child recognizes it. But in this situation and in this case, as far as you yourself, you will start to notice that they even have the golden child in their best interest. And I'm going to explain why why the narcissists, you know, do all these particular type of things during co-parenting or so. Because in this particular situation, the narcissist already know, you know, it's over with for them. You know, you and the narcissist, y'all about to separate, so they can't get no more narcissistic supply out of you. So you moving on with life or so. So the only thing they have is this child. So they could take this child and they could use this, you know, hurt you through this child or have a lot of leverage, you know, where they try to cause a lot of misery in your life through this child. So as you go off, you know, having your happy-go-lucky life or so, with the narcissist, you know, they don't like seeing it. They really don't like to see nobody joy or seeing someone moving on with, you know, in their lives or so. So anyone who don't have children by these people, y'all in a very good position, because once you go no contact and leave the narcissist alone, you could go gray rock. Whatever they do, the tactics or whatever, you could just ignore it and go gray rock. You know, if you already hip to the narcissist, this would be a lot easier to ignore and do the gray rock method. To someone who have children or so, they try to use leverage. So when you go no contact or go gray rock, eventually you have to probably stay in some type of contact to a certain degree just because of the child or so. And the narcissists know this. So you have a lot of situations where the narcissist, you know, they will do things as far as if you moving on with someone else or so, and they will use a thing where they'll tell you they don't want no one around their children. And especially if you have custody of the person. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I got custody of the kid or the kids or whatever the situation may be or so, and you cannot live a life, you cannot move on with yourself with someone else, or you met someone that you're happy with, and all because of what the narcissist say or whatever. You know, it's like they try to throw a monkey wrench in your your coming relationship or so. So the narcissist, what they do, they cause all types of chaos and drama just for the sake of trying to ruin what you have good, what you got good going for you. And you have another situation where they do a lot of smear campaign or so, where the narcissist, they will tell people you a bad parent or so. Like, say, like, I'm going to say, for example, if you have the child and you taking care of the child, you doing your part with the child or so, and what end up happening is that once they get the child, whatever, they'll go back and tell people that you did this wrong and you did that wrong, and they rearrange the child, routine or so. And I could mean this psychologically, I could mean this, in the scheduling or whatever, and here this child just all lost or so during this situation. They have the narcissistic parent, domineering over them, and then they have, the co-parenting, which this is you in this role, it's cleaning up the mess, clean up everything that the narcissist had messed up in this situation or so. And this could be just very, very draining or so, dealing with this type of situation or so. And, like I said, as far as the smear campaign or so, they could do this with the child. You have a narcissist out there will try to, do a thing as far as they try to make the child look at you, a certain type of way by saying things as far as you had done this to them. When I say done this to them, I'm talking about the narcissist. The narcissist probably would tell your child, whatever, that they treated me so bad and your mom or your dad did this and did that. I tried to do my part, this and that and such. And the child go back to you and you telling the truth, and it may come off as in the same story like the narcissist. So a lot of this chaos and confusion happen as far as this child. So it's like this child getting pulled left to right, but you're telling the truth. But the narcissist saying a lot of stuff to make themselves look good, make themselves look like the victim, and you the evildoer who ruined the family or so. So, you be in a lot of confusion and a lot of drama in this type of situation or so. So, maybe there's someone out there, they kind of wondering on what they could do about this situation. They wondering on how can they cope with this, or they wondering, if there's anything they could do as far as co-parenting with a narcissist. They have this child or whatever, whether they have custody or, if the narcissists have custody or whatever, but they wonder what can they do in this situation or so. So one thing as far as dealing with a narcissist, in this situation, as far as you and the narcissist have a child, one thing that always going to remain as far as you dealing with a narcissist and you co-parenting with a narcissist is that it's always going to be a battle. The narcissist, as long as they have this child, as long as this child is, before they reach the age of 18 years old, the narcissist will always try to pick some type of fight. They will always try to pick some type of battle through the child. So be expecting this. The narcissist, you got to understand this, the narcissist is, this person is just full of rage and misery. This person is very miserable, and they want you to be miserable with them. So if it takes for them to do it through a child, whatever it takes, when you're dealing with a narcissist, their attitude in this situation is that they won't go out without a fight. You're walking off to the sunset, you're moving on with your life. They got to have some type of image where they could carbon copy themselves as far as the narcissist through a child. So by you moving on and you have this child or so, they don't want this child to be like you, or they don't want anything of you have anything to do with this child as far as the healthy part of you or so. So either they'll try to turn the child against you, or they either going to try to just mess it all up for you, just to see you miserable, You always got to remember that dealing with a narcissist. So in this situation, right here, what you have to do is when you're with the child and you're dealing with the child, is try to remain this child into the truth. If you have to, beat the narcissist to the punch. It's always, seeing is believing, and hard proof is proof. And what I mean by that, you're probably wondering, like, what do I mean by hard proof is proof? When you prove the narcissist wrong, when you do your part and your part is done, and a child see this, you always got to remember this. A child will always remember, how they got raised or so. You just do your part in this child's life, so this child can remember everything as far as what you did on your behalf. So when you're dealing with a narcissist in this situation, just be expecting all the drama and the rage coming your way or so. And this is how the situation most likely always going to be, because it's the only thing they got left as far as they feel they try to have any kind of leverage upon you, doing this type of situation or so with a narcissist. You always got to remember the narcissist will do whatever they can to make you miserable. If they could do this through a child or so, they will do this. So hopefully this video doesn't help someone out who was in this situation. Like I said before, there's much more I could have said up on this topic. There's a lot more I could have said up on this, but kind of try to keep this video short or so. So remember, people, to keep your minds protected, keep your heart shielded, and stay narcissistic free from these people, and live a narcissistic free life. Thank you for watching this video, and you have a good day, and I'll be talking to you soon.